And welcome to the final quarter here on the CBS 8 app. Jake Gariani alongside Karthik Venkatraman and John Howard. Fellas, how are we doing on this lovely Friday as we record? Friday in April. I'm sure everybody's vibes are high. Nothing to do with the Padres.
I survived April Fool's Day, so I'm ready to go.
I made a miserable decision to work out for the first time in forever today before coming into work. So a little sleepy, but we're going to get there.
A little sleepy, we're going to get there. And why don't we just get fired up right off the rip?
Get me going.
We're going to dive right into these Padres. And I'm not going to hold back on this whatsoever because we are now 6 games into the 7. 6, 7?
7.
2 and 5.
What was that?
7 just finished.
6, 7?
Six.
We are 7 games. We're 7 games into the San Diego Padres season. They just finished the Boston home opening day at Fenway Park. And I already know where this is going to go with the Craig Stammen stuff. 7 games in, and people are already calling for this man's job. People are already going nuts over this Craig Stammen thing. And there's a case in point today with Michael King being taken out of the game for Wandy Peralta. And you two, this is the right decision on paper, on everything. Michael King was getting hit hard. Wandy Peralta comes in. He's good against lefties. Marcelo Meyer is bad against lefties. So the idea that Craig Stammen is the issue here 7 games it's ludicrous to me. It's ridiculous. It's overreacting fans. The issue is this offense. This offense has scored more than 3 runs once. Today, the top 5 in the offense of the lineup, 0 for 19. 7 games in. We should all relax a little bit. 7 games in. Is there concern with the lineup? I think absolutely, right?
I think there's a concern right now, but I think give them another week of games, and once they start finding their strokes, it's going to be fine. And over a 162-game season, the offense is going to have its highs and lows. They're going to win half their games, they're going to lose half their games, and there's 20 games in between where you say, okay, what are we going to do? So I think they're starting the season slow, but it will pick up, no doubt about it.
I think for me, it's not that I don't think that this team can hit. Obviously, they got dudes on the team that can hit, but nobody's hitting well right now. I mean, it's been a miserable start for the top part of the lineup. Now that if you want to include Laureano batting 5th over these last couple of games, he's been probably their best hitter this season, but pretty much everybody else in the lineup has just not been good, which is why we've been seeing a lot of shifting around and a lot of trying to figure it out. And I do think they'll get there, but I do think now that I've kind of seen this play out, the more and more this thing goes on, I say to myself, this is pretty much the same team, more or less, as last year, hitting-wise, with a couple of new pieces. And they didn't slug well last year. So why am I to believe all of a sudden this year it's just going to happen? Because we already haven't seen it to begin this year. Not saying it can't happen. But I guess my question to myself and to you guys is, why should I believe all of a sudden this team's going to start hitting and slugging this year?
I do think that's some of the frustration, right, though, John, because it felt like A.J. Preller maybe addressed some of the slugging issues by bringing in some of those big slugging bats, the Castellanoses, the Miguel Andújars, right? Ty France, and none of the 3 of which really done anything for the San Diego Padres yet. Again, a very small sample size. But I do think the hopes were pretty high for the offense going into this season. And we've said it over and over, and I particularly have harped on this. For this roster, under the construction that it is, the stars have to be stars. That's the only way that this team and this franchise succeeds under this current construction. So far, 7 games in, the stars have not been stars.
And I think A.J. Preller talked about that a couple of years ago. I think he called them their championship core. What championships have they won? And when are they going to start performing on a regular basis? Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., Xander Bogaerts, Jake Cronenworth. When are these guys going to start performing to the level of their contracts? I think the everyday fan and the diehard fan is really kind of tired. You look at the averages right now, 220, 218, 215. I know that it's early in the season, but early in the season is when your batting averages look exploded because it's such a small sample. But for these averages to be as small as they are this early, it's just ugly. These guys are not performing.
I will say Manny Machado did get off to a slow start last season, and he did start turning it up more and more as the year went on, and we got more to those summer months. But I think overall, there should be, I think, some concern, because I think it's not only can these guys hit consistently and can they make what they're making, like their contract, living up to that contract, kind of what John was saying, but it's like they don't have the lineup figured out and where guys are going to be. And we don't know that this is what's going to look like in a couple of weeks from now. This is what it looks like right now because it produced them 7 runs the other day. So that's the reason why we're going there now. But this team's continuing to figure it out, and they have a first-year manager in Craig Stammen who's also trying to figure it out and kind of delegated that responsibility of the batting order to his assistants. And, that's fine, and I think they just got to figure out what this is going to look like. But I think early on, just looking at it, have some concerns, even though I know the talent that's on this roster.
Yeah, I think it's okay to say, yes, it's early in the season. There is a very long way to go. That's very true. But I think it's okay to have some concerns too, right? 7 games is a very, very small sample size, but it is a sample size. And there are some concerning things to this point. Could a team turn it around? 1,000%. Could this team turn it around? Absolutely. This team may be great in a week and none of this matters, but I understand why there is some concern. I understand why there is some patience. And I'm the king of preaching patience when it comes to this team and AJ Preller, and typically I've always been that way. But yeah, there are some concerning things, and hopefully it's addressed quickly. Hopefully this offense bursts out. But this idea that Craig Stammen has been the issue and everyone wants to blame Craig Stammen is just silly to me. So far, it's been this offense. That's going to be the need to be the thing to step up. And, John, you were down there at Petco Park just a couple days ago, right after they wrapped up that series against the Giants. They busted out for 7 runs, the only game they've scored more than 3 in. And you asked them, and other people asked them about, hey, is there any concern based on the way this offense performed early in the season? And this is what some of the guys had to say.
I think we're all falling into place like we should be. I think everybody's working as hard as they can to get their swings right and get back on track. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see where we go.
It's not frustrating at all, honestly. It's not. Like I said, we'd be frustrating if we wouldn't be having good at bats and it'll be in and out, and we have those guys throwing 7, 8 innings plus with 50 pitches. We've hit the ball hard, having great at bats as a group. Obviously, we would like to score more runs, obviously, but the bats are there.
I'll say a couple things about starts of the season and this being a small sample size. We do got to remember also last year, this team started off 14-3 and, 7-0 to start the year. And then they were very middling all the way till the All-Star break. So just because of that, there's that. But I do also think, and Jake, not to poke on you a little bit, but I do disagree to some extent with Craig Stammen, because I'm not saying he should be fired. I'm not saying he's going to do a bad job for the rest of the season. But your team producing still has to be a big part of this, and you are in charge of your team producing, and so far.
Well, what's he supposed to do? Go out there and throw? I'm
not saying he doesn't have to go out there and throw, but your job is to get your team ready. You're the manager of the club, so at the end of the day,
they have to perform, right? It's about the players.
I'm with you, but who gets those guys ready to perform?
This isn't Little League, bro. This isn't them getting together in the clubhouse. Hey, let's go rah out there. Like Craig Stammen is putting together the lineup. The lineup's going out there.
He's not putting together the lineup anymore. First off,
and they're scoring 2 runs. Like I don't know what else people want Craig Stammen to do in that sense. There have been a few decisions here and there where maybe it would handle different. A guy coming up and down to the bullpen. The one today with Wandy Peralta is to me a fine decision. On paper, it makes total sense, and I just don't think Craig Stammen's the guy to be pointing the finger at right now. And I'm not trying to sit here to defend Craig Stammen. I'm more calling out the fact that it's the players not performing than Craig Stammen underperforming or something like that.
I definitely think it's the top of the lineup really needs to get their act together, but at the end of the day, you're determined by what your wins and losses are right now, and in his first year so far, it hasn't started off well, and that's all I can say about that.
I would tend to respectfully disagree with Karthik in regards to they're 2-5 because of the poor performance of the players, and you'd say, well, it's the manager's responsibility to have the players ready.
You got to get them ready for the season.
But the thing is, they're not 2-5 because of bad decision making by Stammen. So if we're,
but you could say that partially, but then how about the lineup? The lineup hasn't particularly been set or good, and they haven't been producing runs.
Well, the players haven't been performing regardless of what the lineup is. What I was going to say is if you're 50, 60, 70 games into this season and they're still flat, okay, maybe there is a chemistry philosophy issue in the clubhouse where Stammen is falling short. But I think in the first 7 games of his managerial career, I think you look at what has his decision-making been more so than you would look at are these guys mentally prepped by the manager?
Which is why I'm not rushing to saying like Stammen can't get it together, and that's why I said a couple of minutes ago. I think I'm not putting the blame fully on him, but I think there is partial blame to be had by everybody because at the end of the day, they don't have it figured out right now, which is fine. But it's just 7 games into the season, so I'm not trying to blow it out of proportion. But I'm saying they haven't figured it out yet. And the guy who's supposed to figure it out is the manager of the team. So we're at this point. Right now, it's not off to a great start. This whole team needs to play better. It's not just Craig Stammen needs to manage better. And I'm not putting this all on Craig Stammen. I'm just saying I think everyone, they got to figure this thing out. They do.
Well, you guys know me. If we were 50 games in and Manny Machado is hitting 210, I say set him down to AAA. Let him find a swing down in AAA. But right now, we're 7 games in. Way too early to be concerned.
See how it plays out.
We'll talk more later.
And you saw their schedule there. They obviously have the 2 more against the Red Sox. Randy Vasquez will toe the slab on Saturday. He was great in his season opener. And they will see Paul Skeens this time around in Pittsburgh. They go to Pittsburgh after this for 3. If you think some of the pitchers they've seen have been tricky so far, Paul Skeens is about to be something else. Although they did see the American League Cy Young winner to open up the year, and then they'll get the National League Cy Young Award winner before coming back here to face the Rockies for 4.
Toe the slab.
Toe the slab, twirl the pearl, whatever you want.
Take the pearl.
There's all. Hey, if there's a baseball thing to say, I think I got it in my vocab there. Let's move on to soccer now, where San Diego FC has been playing really good soccer to begin the year, but it's a grind, right? I mean, they came out CONCACAF Champions Cup, MLS, and you kind of saw that, I think, taxingness of the season wear on them a bit in their last 3 matches. 2 draws in MLS with Dallas and Real Salt Lake, and then they went down to Toluca in the CONCACAF Champions Cup and really kind of got beaten up down there in Mexico. But aside from the grind to start the year, I think it's been a lot of positives for SDFC, even though those last 3 matches, they're still undefeated in MLS, guys.
Yeah, I think I'm where I am with this team right now over the last couple of matches. A little concerned over the goals that they've been giving up. Over the first couple of matches we had seen them, they were playing really solid defense overall, not allowing a lot. Durant Free had his moments, but, you know, in the last couple of matches, I've kind of gone off Durant Free, and I'm starting to say we need to bring CJ Dos Santos maybe back in the mix sooner than later, obviously, when he's healthy.
Well, he's close. Not to cut you off, but actually I was out at training on Thursday, and Mikey was asked about CJ, and he said he's pretty much at the point where he's healthy, and now it's time for him to start competing for his job back again. And so he's ready to roll. So,
yeah. And that's how it goes. They all compete there. That's why you got Pablo Cisniega starting one week, Durant Free starting the next, and but CJ Dos Santos was the guy in their inaugural season, and he had a lot of success, and he was really good. And I believe, when he's back fully healthy and he's got his thing going, he's going to be the starting goalkeeper moving forward. But it's that back line too. And another concern for me is that they've just been giving up goals late. That has allowed for these games to end up in draws instead of victories for them. So I'm interested to see how San Diego FC moves forward. But it's the big gauntlet. I think it's just so different for them having played as many matches. Yeah. This break that they had over this past weekend coming into this week couldn't have come at a better time with all the front-loaded matches that they had to go through. And I'm expecting San Diego FC to get back to San Diego FC, but this next match against San Jose is going to be a really tough one. This is number 3 team and number 4 team so far in the Western Conference of the MLS, so it's going to be a fun one on Saturday.
Very fun, especially because it's on the road, and we'll see how San Diego FC does up there in San Jose. Something that I'm going to confess to the 2 of you right now is I finally attended my first SDFC game this year. And I never got to one last year because I'm the hardest working sports person in the market. I never got to one last year. Got to one early this season. It's a wonderful atmosphere. And what I enjoy about football, soccer, is also something I enjoy about going to a live baseball game, is that it's not, with soccer, it's constant action of the ball rolling around. But there's a lot of downtime where you can socialize with whoever you came to the game with, but when the action might happen, and then you can pay attention to the game. And the cheerleading crowd is amazing with the chants and the singing. Holy mackerel. Yeah. They just provide constant atmosphere. And because I wasn't sitting too close to them, I was easily able to carry a conversation with my buddy who I was there with. But
I was half expecting John to get in there and,
and
maybe start swinging the shirt around over his head.
Yeah, well, the idea is to increase our viewership, not to decrease. So, but yeah, for those who have not been yet, a great atmosphere and friendly, family friendly. I encourage it.
They won't have the Frontera up in San Jose in the Bay Area when they face the Quakes. And Karthik, as you mentioned, 3-4 in the Western Conference. These two separated by a point early in the season, and that's what the Azul and Chrome like to see.
That's what football's all about. You want to play the best teams at the best times, and we're looking forward to the challenge of going up there and try to come back with 3 points.
We had a shortened preseason. We played 2 tournaments right off the bat. The boys navigated the beginning of that season with a round of 16 performance in CONCACAF. Although we would say 2 of the games in this last stint in league weren't our best, still taking home points and starting the season on 11 points in 5 games is, I think, there's a lot of merit to what they did.
We're undefeated in MLS so far, so it's about taking the positives from that and building on it. And so far we're 5 games into the season, we've not lost yet, and we're trying to make that 6 on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good. You haven't lost in a season yet. That's a great start. Hopefully they continue that trend. I think in all reality, even if you go up to San Jose and you do get a draw, you're probably feeling pretty good, but I'm sure they'd love to get back in the win column. A team that's found themselves in the win column a lot lately are our San Diego Wave. Lost their opening match against Houston. Haven't lost since, and in fact looked really, really good so far in these last 3 matches. San Diego Wave got a lot going on. I mean, they're scoring at will. They look great on the pitch.
Yeah, the one that I'm most impressed with so far for their team right now is Leah Godfrey. She is a rookie, and she scored 3 goals over the last 3 games, 1 goal in each of those matches. The biggest problem with the Wave last year is they had trouble finding the back of the net, scoring, keeping up with these teams, and they would lose because a lot of matches they were putting up 0s on the board or maybe 1s on the board. This year, it's starting to look different. They have a new prospect. Now, I don't want to say prospect. She's one of the most elite players because she plays for the U.S. Women's National Team. John can tell you a little more about that here in a second. But this team, they're already second in the NWSL standings, and I think they're only going up from here. They look really good to start the year.
Well, and as you're looking at this video, Barcenas, who's the local athlete, what I found really impressive about this team, I've done 3 sit-down interviews with these ladies in the last 3 weeks, say, for maybe a month. My goodness, these people have heads on their shoulders. A lot of times when you go out to some of these athletic teams, the athletes don't seem to sometimes, have the smartest head on the shoulders. These ladies are smart. They are witty. They know their game. They know what they want to do. They know how to promote themselves and promote the program. I've just been very impressed, and I look forward to seeing how they do. And I think that, as we all know, they had a rough season a couple of years ago, but improved last year, and maybe this is the year they get back over the top.
Yeah, Mel Barcenas has been wonderful, been a lot of fun to watch. Jonas Eideval, I feel like he's got them all kind of pulling on the same rope, if you will. They've been a lot of fun to watch, whereas, maybe a season ago, it felt very forced. This team feels free-flowing, fun, so it's been exciting, and they're going to continue to try and rock and roll, like I mentioned. 3 straight wins for them after dropping that home opener to Houston, so it's been a lot of fun to watch the San Diego Wave. Let's keep on moving here on the final quarter on the CBS 8 app. Let's head to basketball. Now, we're going to record this. Careful, fellas, because some people might watch this after the national championship is over on Monday. As we go into recording this, the Final Four will be played this week. And let's start on the men's side. Here's what the Final Four looks like. Let me drop this, what we call index line here, so you can see the whole thing. There you go. UConn and Illinois. I would say Illinois probably, I guess if you want to call a surprise at the tournament, the lowest remaining seed, that 3 seed. They've kind of shocked me. I didn't see them coming all the way up here to the Final Four. On the other side of the bracket, you got the 2-1 seeds, Arizona, Michigan. I've been harping it since the jump. I think Arizona's the team to win it all. So far, they haven't shown me any different. Karthik, I'll let you get on your UConn soapbox because it's been a really fun tournament.
What do my haters say, man? What do my haters say? They say UConn couldn't make it back to this point, and I say, Dan Hurley's the man. I said UConn's got that pedigree. I said Huskies back to the Final Four. They make it to the national championship game. I still think they beat Illinois, who's great. I mean, they've been playing great all year. They've been one of those teams that people thought, hey, if they start playing really well, maybe they could make a Final Four run, and they're here right now, and they're the favorites to beat UConn. But I got to go with pedigree in that one, man. I got to go Dan Hurley, and as much as I want to pick Arizona in that other Final Four matchup because of how good they are, I picked Michigan to win my national title, so I got to stick with the Wolverines here. Give me Michigan, UConn in the final still. John Howard, I'm tossing it over to you because you were my biggest hater, man.
I'm going to absolutely disagree with you. UConn is horrible. I'm taking the Fighting Illini because when you got the name Fighting in your name, you're going to win ball games. I'm taking Illinois over UConn. Now, I do agree with you on the Michigan-Arizona. Although Arizona has looked so solid, I hate to use the word unbeatable. I don't know how they're going to get beat. But because they choke every year in the NCAA tournament, I have them losing in the Final Four to Michigan. Usually they're losing in the second or third round, but they are so good this year. They are the likely favorite, as Jake has talked a lot about, Arizona winning the national championship. But in my bracket, which is awful, I do have Michigan knocking off Arizona. And I don't even know who I had on the upper half, but
You
I
didn't
didn't
have
have
UConn, man. You didn't have UConn.
I had barely started before Karthik when I said I'll let you get on your soapbox. That means let me finish, and then you could get. He was. Yeah, I didn't even
let you. I'll let you get on your.
I
soapbox.
will let you. This is.
And I took the reins, baby.
You didn't finish the setup?
I didn't finish the setup. I didn't even finish speaking. I wasn't prepared for him to scream into that the audio is going to blow somebody's ear out.
I tested the mics at my higher elevation earlier.
No. Your higher elevation didn't even come near to what you just touched. I know somebody that had AirPods in and just have tossed them. Look, here's what's going to happen. I actually think that Duke-UConn game was an unbelievable
One of the
basketball
best
game.
games in the recent NCAA tournaments.
A 15-point comeback after being down at half. You hit an unreal buzzer beater, but I feel like UConn kind of got away with that one. I almost like the Fighting Illini in that game, and then I think Arizona kind of obliterates the Illini in the national championship game. I'm sticking with what I started with, Arizona all the way. Unfortunately, we are having an issue with the women's bracket graphic, but I can tell you what it is. It's all 4 one seeds on the women's side, and really, it's a rematch of the national championship game. UConn, South Carolina are the 1 seeds. They're playing in the Final Four, though. We said it. We had a NCAA March Madness show right before the tournament started, and we all kind of said that might be your national championship game. UCLA and Texas on the other side. But this South Carolina-UConn game, does UCLA or Texas stand a chance to beat the winner of that game?
I definitely think UConn's going to beat South Carolina. As much as I want to believe South Carolina might give them a game, UConn's just looking so good. I do think that South Carolina will put up a fight. Hopefully they'll perform better than last year when those 2 teams met up because that game was an absolute blowout. I got the Huskies, and I don't think anyone's going to touch that. Gino Auriemma.
They haven't lost a game all year.
Gino Auriemma is something else. You want to talk about a legendary coach. That guy, there was a time where it seemed like South Carolina and Don Staley were going to start running the game, and he still found a way to retool and bring them back to this point where won the national title last year, and they very well could win it this year. I think it's UConn's to lose.
It probably is UConn's to lose. I like UCLA. I think they're going to knock off Texas, which is going on sometime today. But Lauren Betts, oh my goodness, this player is phenomenal. She's a dominant player. And I like the fact that UCLA lost by 34 in the Final Four last year to UConn. They are a motivated group. They got to get through Texas first. And their lone loss of the season, they're 34-1 this year. Their lone loss this year is to Texas. So they got some revenge on their mind. They know they have to take care of Texas. And then they want to go on and get some revenge from last year when they lost by 34 to UConn. I think UCLA, don't look past them, a motivated bunch going in.
I like that take. I unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, I'm on Karthik's boat here. I think UConn just walks away with this national championship. They continue to have one of the greatest teams ever assembled, like they've had multiple times over and over. It's just an unbelievable unit, a wagon. It's an unstoppable force, and I think they waltz right to a national championship. So we will see what happens on both the men's and women's side. That will do it for us here on the final quarter on the CBS 8 app. But as I always do, the graphic is up. Something short, please. Say goodbye to the folks.
Jake, you don't know what you're talking about, UConn Lady Huskies. The Lady Bruins are going to knock them off.
I set John Howard up earlier to talk about Katarina Macario, the San Diego Wave forward, the guy. He didn't talk about her. She's gonna be integrated into the team, and that's why the Wave are gonna be so good. John, I can't believe you didn't finish the slam dunk.
My bad.
The oop is on.
Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time.